Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Donald Trump is set to call Vladimir Putin today, Monday, the 19th of May, 2025. We're going to hear Kremlin's reaction and what they are eager to talk about in this phone call, as well as how the Russians are preparing or not the proposed meeting between Trump and Putin. That's the first topic. The second topic, we have the Romanian elections and the reaction coming from Moscow and from the defeated candidate, Mr. George Simeon, the nationalist. Right. Then we're gonna find out the people who won, which is the guy's pro-European guy, which is Nicolas Lerner, how he is pro-Europe, but I will ask you, what is Europe, the European Union? And I will show you how France allegedly pressured media to cover the elections in a certain way. So that's the European Union that people want to continue being in. I will explain. The foreign intelligence of the French Republic pressured the founder of Telegram, Mr. Durov, to censor so-called conservative voices on his Telegram. Now, if you want to be part of that kind of entity that would censor, then you could go back to communist Romania. That's for the Romanians who love the European Union. And I'm going to show you and I'm going to give you the name of the person who pressured Mr. Durov. Is it possible that Mr. Durov lies? It's possible. Is it probable? I don't think so. And a coincidence, quote-unquote coincidence. Did you notice that in Europe and in the United States of America, only in the Western world, we have two sides. We have the imbeciles, or we have the progressives, progressing towards a cliff, that is, and we have the nationalists. So we have the people who promote all kind of perversions, and the other ones are always now the nationalists. In the United States of America, you had Trump, nationalist, versus Kamala. Boom. I don't have to make anything about that. Then you have in France, you had Le Pen out, and you had Macron. Then you have, obviously, in Romania, you had Mr. Georgescu, nationalist, out, and Mr. Simeon, nationalist, out, and you have Mr. Pro-European Union, Mr. Nicolas Lerner. And we can also mention in Germany, Alternative for Deutschland, nationalist, not good, versus what? All right, so this is just a few examples, and the list can go on. You can look, if you want, at Mr. Orban, the same way in Hungary. So it seems like you have the nationalists, the ones who love their nation, or not necessarily they love their nations. They understand their countries are under occupation, military, economic, financial, and cultural. You can say the United States of America is not occupied. Culturally, it is occupied. And, if you lose your soul, then what good is it to just have your inherit or whatever? Read your Bible. So let's go to the first topic, which is the phone call between Trump and Putin today at 1700 Moscow time. That is 5 p.m. Moscow time. Sputnik. Putin-Trump call today at 1700 Moscow time, Kremlin. All right. The Kremlin has confirmed a critical phone call today after Istanbul talks. Agenda: Ukraine ceasefire and trade wars. Now, trade wars means sanctions. Sanctions on Russia, because there's no much trade between Russia and United States of America. Therefore, you say, yes, it is. I know it is in, atomic energy. That's what is one. Fertilizer is the other one. And some oil. That's it. That's kind of like the trade is. That's why Trump did not impose any tariffs, did not change anything with the Russians, because he says, actually, our commerce is virtually zero. So, trade wars, that is sanctions. And the ceasefire, Ukraine ceasefire. The ceasefire could be negotiated while the war goes on. Go and read some historical events in the past, and you're going to find out they were discussing certain peace terms while they were having the war, and many, many wars before. Is not something that is new right now. All right, and see what the Russians are saying about the meeting between the two. And I'm quoting, "No rush for face-to-face. Peskov warns any Putin-Trump meet needs serious prep. No handshakes without deals." So what does it mean? The Russians are serious, are not interested in lights and living in America, no, and all the James Brown and Hollywood glitzery mitzery. They want things done, serious. The other guys like this kind of shows, yeah, but there's no substance, only form. The Russians, it seems like they still keep our Western civilization alive. These guys here are changing into, the burning bush, if you know what I mean. So no handshakes without this. We're not going to meet only to look good to the public. Hey, look at these guys. Yeah, we're having a good time. Give me the saxophone, Bill Clinton. No, it's not going to be about that one. And let me show you about the Russians' goals and their take on the accusations of Russians meddling in the Romanian elections. Here. Other statements by Peskov. Russia's endgame, special operation goals will be met, says Kremlin. Wow, wait a second. So what do you mean goals? What are the goals? We know that the Russians invaded Ukraine unprovoked, aggressed. It's an aggression. Unprovoked and unjustifiable. That means you can justify. The Russians cannot justify it. They have no justification. Zero. Nothing. Why? Because we say so. Therefore, they attacked, because we say so, in aggressive manner, obviously, not being provoked. It's just something else. All right, the something else, ask the Russians, they're going to tell you. And the Russians say, we will meet our goals, which is, oh my God, imperialist views, right, Emil? Well, if you want to look like that, I suggest you look at the Americas past at least 33 years and see the imperialist ways of NATO and United States of America, which NATO is United States of America. And the other one, talking about the Romanian election, and that's going to transfer me to the next topic. Romanian election, fishy. Kremlin side-eyed Bucharest strange vote after right frontrunner was barred. Okay, boom. Moscow hits back at Romania's election meddling claims. Of course they do. I mean, what, they're going to say, yes, it was me? I'm just kidding. Bucharest, and I'm quoting, electoral mess shouldn't even be called a presidential vote. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has said, right there, pointed to continuous advising its officials to focus on cleaning their own reputation. The diplomat was responding to claims by Romanian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Andrei Țărnea, or Țărnea I think it is, who alleged that there were hallmarks of Russian interference. How about the French interference in the... Oh my God. All right, so what happened here? Zakharova questioned the legitimacy of Romania's presidential vote, saying it should not be considered a proper election. And I'm quoting, "You can't interfere in something like that, only get entangled in it," Zakharova wrote on Telegram. "They shouldn't try to drag others into their electoral mess. They should clean it up themselves." And what I saw at the bottom here gets me to the next topic. Telegram founder Pavel Durov, the guy who was impounded, he and his girlfriend in France. Traveled with France in the European Union. Just stopped over there and they were questioned for about a month. Said in a post on Sunday that Nicolas Lerner, head of French foreign intelligence, unelected official, he's unelected, had personally urged him to censor conservative voices on the platform ahead of Romania's presidential election rerun. The Russian-born entrepreneur said he refused the request. Now, Mr. Durov was freed eventually by the European Union, okay? He was just asked for questioning, the Gestapo, okay? The French Gestapo. And he was released. I have no evidence, but the problem was like this. You need to allow us to control Telegram. That's the whole point. You don't, you're going to stay in France forever. And he said, I will. I think. And he left. That's why Mr. Durov right now is free. Otherwise, he would have been in the dungeon in the European Union. Why? Because he's a bad dude. The Europeans tell us. With evidence, like the Romanian intelligence services provided so much information on Mr. Georgescu's connection and irregularities. Do you know any? Oh, he spoke something, he said something, the free speech, not okay, very dangerous. So let's be the slaves of what? France, and then the European Union? All right, let's see what else these guys are saying, which is Mr. Simeon. Presidential frontrunner accuses European Union candidate of vote rigging. Romania's George Simeon, I'm guaranteeing you the other side will say this was the most perfect election in Romania's history ever after Biden's from 2020. Romania's George Simeon has claimed the authorities in neighboring Moldova are sabotaging his election campaign. This is from yesterday, just so you know. So, he says around 30% of Moldova's populations are dual Moldovan Romanian citizens. Simeon supporters argue that early turnout among Romanians voting in Moldova is suspiciously high, nearly 3 times the level recorded during the same period in the first round. And I'm quoting, enough campaigning. Now we have to stop the massive fraud. The government in Moldova has started stealing votes. We won't let them. Yeah, you can. What, you're going to get the tanks, the Russian tanks? All right, so it says here that the Hour claims that Moldova's ruling party, Action and Solidarity, has been directing voters to support Simeon's opponent. By 1 p.m., over 50,000 votes have been cast by the diaspora, an increase of almost 70% compared to the first round. These figures are no coincidence. Well, whatever you want to say, my friends. And then said the Hour is the party where Mr. Simeon is the president, for people who don't know what Hour is, also accused Moldova's pro-TV Chisinau of waging an illegal and partisan campaign in favor of the establishment candidate and of voter manipulation under the guise of independent journalism. Well, the right person, won. Simeon condemned the annulment of 2024 elections results as a coup d'etat. By whom? He is currently banned from entering Moldova, which he has called an artificial country, as I do, which will never join the European Union. The Russians won't allow that. So obviously he's gonna, as people cry about it, but it's okay. The other guy just flat, nicely won. But remember, the other guy, what's going on here? The other guy was educated in France. And he lived a lot of years in France. It doesn't mean that he is a French agent. No, it doesn't that mean. Because if I return to Romania one day on Russian tanks, I'm just kidding, I couldn't be, accused of being a CIA agent, can I? I mean, Mr. Saakashvili from Georgia was one clear example of who promoted, who took this guy under its wing when he was studying in United States of America, and then sent back to Georgia, and he, became the president, just like this, because, we are different. If you come to the West and return home, we are different. But hey, the Bible tells us something, that no one is a whatever in its own land or something like this. All right, let's go further. France pressures Telegram to silence Romanian conservatives, Durov says. Pavel Durov says he was approached. Why are you approached? That's the first one. The imbeciles from Romania who are, Europe, Europa. The ones that are saying Europa should listen to this, all right? Why would you want to do this? So it's a intelligence service. It's a guy who works in the shadows. We don't know what they're doing over there, but they work to defend us. Like the Securitatea in Romania. The same thing. The Securitatea in Romania was made over there to make sure that we are doing great. Securitatea in Romania, okay? Or foreign agencies, however you want to call them. Foreign agencies? No. It's the domestic agencies. So these guys approached a media platform to say, hey, shush on that side. Is that the entity you want to join? And I guarantee you, many of the guys that are watching this will say, yes, that's what we want. You know why? Because I think that's a culture somewhere who has this slave mentality, as Nietzsche calls it, slave morality. And I think that's very, very much spread in one country. I'm not going to name the country. You can figure it out yourselves. So here, that's why they say, yeah, there should be mommy and daddy who will tell us what we should do. And others like us who will say, no, let me make my own destiny. The French government sought to make Telegram block conservative voices in Romania ahead of the country's presidential runoff, the Messenger's founder Pavel Durov claimed on Sunday. Telegram will not restrict the freedom of Romanians' users or block their political channels, he said in a post, adding that one can't defend democracy by destroying democracy. You can't fight election interference by interfering with elections. You either have freedom of speech and fair elections or you don't. That's exactly what I said. And what do we find? Names French official who asked to ban conservative voices. And that is spy chief Nicolas Lerner, sought to silence the right ahead of Romania's presidential election. Now this is a tyrannical, if true, this is a tyrannical tendency. Behavior. You like that? A lot of people like that because a lot of people, their ancestors were serfs. And it seems like they have the same mentality of being, yes, sir. And others say no. Say no. Well, others like you and I. All right, let's move on. So that's what he said. Is it true? France denies claims of Romanian election interference attempt. Telegram founder Pavel Durov posted earlier that he was asked to block Romanian conservatives on his social media platform. So they say, no, that's not true. France categorically rejects those allegations. The ministry said, maintaining that the claims were merely a diversionary maneuver from the real threats of interference targeting Romania. Okay, which is the Russians, correct? Correct. Now, let me tell you this. I personally, with no evidence, obviously, no, I think that the intelligence services are definitely working for their own masters, and that's not the countries they supposedly belong to. I'm generalizing, obviously, but I think the intelligence services are unaccountable. Really. The military is just clearly telling you we got the weapons. The other guys cannot say that because the military has more weapons than these guys. So they have to work in different ways. Does that happen? Let's put it this way. If I were to just take by the statements, what Durov said, and what I know, and if I would make an assessment, I would say like this. Is it possible? I go at possibilities and probabilities. Is it possible that the French chief spy approached Durov? Possible, 100%. Even the Americans is possible. Even the Russians is possible to have approached it. It's possible. Even Mossad is possible. Right? Even I am possible to have been calling Durov and say, Durov, please calm down. All right, it's possible. Is it probable? Now, probably is based on evidence from the past, what you know, what you feel, right? All right, we got feelings, and they play a role. When you show up in front of a judge, you say, my gut feeling tells me he's guilty. And that's it. That's the evidence right there. So I think, let's say if I were to say by probabilities, it's very highly probable that the French contacted Durov. Do I have any evidence? I don't. But I don't want to play full baboon or full retard here for this video. Maybe I can appear as one, but I don't intend. Why? Because let me show you how we have this pattern. Nationalists on one side, perverts on another one. Why they call them perverts? Because what's perversion? Go and look at the dictionary and you're going to find pervertire, pervert, being outside of the norm. Like for instance, I don't know, normality in the nature, if you look, it's heterosexuality. I mean, you see, okay, that's normality. What's outside of that, that's how it's called. This is the right, correct term. That's why people who want to do abnormal, unnatural things, which is, you don't see in nature as being the prevailing behavior, that's a perversion of natural order, of reality. Okay, that's why it's called like that. Now, I know they don't like that word, but, you know. And why do I say that? Because you see that in France, you saw it in the United States of America, you're going to see it in Great Britain pretty soon. Pretty soon you're going to see the parties that are nationalist versus the so-called progressive ones. Progressing towards what exactly? And remember, these guys who are the progressives are the ones that are on the left. are on the left, not on the right, on the left, which are the socialists. Socialists are more government, more control, but hey, they are the progressives. They don't give us liberté, they give us the opposite. So this is what happens in Poland, for instance, who also had we're going to have a runoff right here. Pro-European mayor, like in Romania, a nationalist historian. If you take this out and just leave pro-EU mayor and nationalist, it's the same thing as in Romania. Simeon and Dan, Nicușor Dan, the same. Set for Polish presidential runoff. You got it? So it always seems to be, when you have problems, is a nationalist. Now, who hates nationalists? Well, it's one particular group that hates nationalists. And this particular group is very much in control of what we hear and what we are allowed to. And why do they hate it? Because they can camouflage themselves in these societies. Nationalists saying, I am a Romanian. Who are you? I'm a Romanian too. No, you're not. You understand? So that particular group hates nationalism. What's nationalism? You love your nation. But I'm not part of the nation. Now the imbeciles who might say, Emil, aren't you an immigrant? Yeah, but I'm talking about the United States of America. I'm not in Germany. If I were in Germany, I would say, yeah, man, that's 100% correct. I will never be a German. I will be a Romanian living in Germany. Correct? Right now, in the United States of America, it's a little bit differently. It's a little bit different. Why? Because this country was formed by Northern Europeans, not by immigrants, by settlers. From a particular place. That's why they didn't have to put over there in their little constitution, English is the, how do you call it, official language of America, United States of America. Why? Because it was too obvious. People like us are here. All right? You know what I mean. So the same. You're going to find the guys who's going to work against the nationalists and patriots. Patriots come from padre, the fatherland. People who hate those people who hate their fatherland. Why? You have to be loving diversity, right? Not diversity of thought. No. You have to be regimented in one kind of thought, all right? Diversity in deluding something, so they can appear like, well, no distinction. We are all human. We all bleed, man, red. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Or do that too. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.